until we get the Tucker interview, which is in just 3 hours. Vivek has agreed to do the show. I think he's a little more busier now. Again, big shout out to this stream's videos sponsor, Sheath Underwear. Link in the description. Just check them out. Go to their website. Check them out. Buy a pair. If you don't like them, return them. You know, I think you will. And promo code DECORDING will save you at least, I think it's 20%. Benny Johnson. I don't think so. I wonder if he'll post the Putin interview on Rumble. Well, people said that he's going to. I mean, Vivek, Dan, Jeremy underestimated you. Yeah, Vivek. Agreed. I've got lots of people coming up. Zuby, I think. Razor Fist agreed. Jimmy Dore, I talked to you yesterday. I'm still working on time. Shanks uncovered massive environmental crime. I'll have to check it out. All right, so that's where we're gonna. Shuan Head said she will come on too. I'll hit her up again. I think that's where we're going to end for today. Hey, be on time tomorrow. We got Owen Schroyer, a man that went to prison and never even entered the Capitol on January 6th. He will be on my show tomorrow, right on time, 1 o'clock Eastern. Be here on time. If you haven't yet, hit that Facebook page up, facebook.com/quarteringnews. Leave a like on it. Give it a follow. I would greatly appreciate it. 5 standalone videos already uploaded to Rumble, so you can check those out. And then I'll probably do a reaction. I might even live stream later. on the Putin stuff. We'll see. Somebody said it's supposed to be 2 hours long. So for the 2-hour interview, but you canceled on Timcast. LOL. Yes, I have never canceled a guest on my show. I did cancel on Timcast because, going on Timcast is a huge pain in the ass. I have to take 2 different flights. I have to sleep in a shitty hotel. I have to go sit in a house that's like a hippie commune just to be online for an hour, and then I have to get in a plane and take 2 flights home. It's not really worth it, If you would have me on remotely, I would do it, but it's a huge like undertaking to go on a show. And I don't think there's anybody that watches Timcast that doesn't know who I am. Pepe Le Pete says burning bright and just human from Badlands Media. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, a Friday. I would do a Friday. I would definitely do a Friday where I could do both shows. That I would do. That makes more sense. Get on both shows, then leave on Saturday. That I would do. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow with Owen Schroyer covering all the news. Obviously, we'll have all the Putin stuff to cover tomorrow as well. Thanks again to Viva Fry for coming on. Go check out his Rumble channel. just under 400,000 users for him or followers. So hopefully he'll hit that. And we'll see you in.
Wow. Absolutely amazing. So some people don't have anything going on in their lives. They can't create their own content, and they're just nasty little videos. What they do, restreaming other people's videos without asking, coming into the chat like nasty little rats. Call me a bitch. Why don't you guys just grow up? Seriously. It's fine. But don't do that nasty. No one likes nasty bitches. Doc. Not a good look, man. Not a good look. Wow.
Hey, bud. Hey, Midwest. I just watched that thing.
Hey everybody, it's me, Carolina. Welcome back to the channel. And I want to give a big shout out to all my wrenches and all the regular people that watch me. Scott, who's in the hospital, Lenny, everybody, Iceman, I call you Iceman, and Shirley, everybody that's regularly watching me. I appreciate y'all. You're the one that helps me get these videos out. And if you're new to the community, and you're new to the videos, you need to like, subscribe, share, because that helps the video gets passed around. Because this video today is about passenger IDs. You never have to ID if you're a passenger. It's a Fourth Amendment protection that you have. You don't have to. So let's check out this video from Carolina, Fort Worth. And again, don't forget to help the algorithm thingy. Like, subscribe, and share. Thanks guys for coming in.
You got your ID on you too, sir?
I'm a passenger. I'm not required to identify
In the state
myself.
of Florida, you are?
That's national law, Fourth Amendment.
In
I'm
the
not
state of
required.
Florida, you are?
Sir, I'm a passenger. I'm not required to identify myself to you.
So, look, you ever play that game? Okay, you can go ahead and get yours out. In the state of Florida, you are required to identify yourself, even as a passenger.
Listen, man, we're not somebody who likes to write tickets. Honestly, we ID you. We tell you about what's going on. We kind of pretty much just get you on your way.
Police officers look so stupid when they're caught telling passengers they have to ID, even when the passenger knows he doesn't have to ID. We all know that they want that ID just to run that person for warrant. They have to have reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime. And that just moves you into the stage of detainment. During the detainment stage, you're being investigated. And what you're being investigated for is for a crime. And if they find probable cause for that crime, then they can take you to jail. And once you go to jail, that you have to show your ID. It's a Fourth Amendment protection. This is how it works in all 50 states. No such thing as stopping at the state.
Deputy Dunn does not write citations. It's not something I do either. We kind of like to tell people about all that. It's kind of like a corrective thing. So, you know what I mean? But when it gets escalated to this, he doesn't want to identify himself. From there, he's interfering with an investigation, things like that. You can't be taken to jail. And I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So the reason I pulled you over, I didn't get a chance to tell you, your license plate in the back is folded up, so it's concealing part.
Okay,
And all your lights are all messed up too, man.
yeah, that motorcycle kind of crunched everything.
Okay.
And we're just going a few blocks.
Did he ID? He was trying to give me a name. Yeah, just if you would explain that and see if he gets out. If not,
Okay. All right, guys. I'm going to be conducting a sniff on the exterior of the vehicle. All right, but in order to do that, you guys have to step out of the vehicle for me. All right. I'm not asking you to. I'm telling you to at this point.
What's up?
I didn't notice there's somebody else in the back.
Yeah, there is.
What's,
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, no, I saw him.
what's up out of the vehicle?
All right, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it.
They're conducting a sniff on the exterior of the vehicle.
Put your hands on your back.
Excuse me, am I under arrest? Am I under arrest?
That's where the camera cut out, but we still have audio, and it sounds like there's two conversations going on simultaneously. That's because there is. One of the officers is trying to distract the father's attention away from the son.
Number one, absolutely not. That is my property. I have a Fourth Amendment right to maintain. No, listen, I'm arrested. That is my property. That is my. They have confiscated my property without a warrant. They have taken my property without a warrant. They have taken my property without a warrant. I have a Fourth Amendment right to hold on to my property. They have taken my property without a warrant. Now they are seizing my wallet. They are seizing and stop twisting my hand. That's a stop. If I am not under arrest, if I am not under arrest, you have no right to put your hands on me.
You're under arrest.
I'm under arrest.
Resisting arrest.
Resisting arrest. I haven't moved. I have not moved. I have not moved. There is no resistance of arrest.
Got a key?
Couple things here. They can run a drug dog around your car, even if they don't have probable cause. It's called a free sniff, but they have to do it within the time the officer takes to write you a ticket. Secondly, they can pull you out of the car for officer safety. And thirdly, they can handcuff you during detainment. In our next story, this is what happens when you have power-hungry, egotistical cops. This traffic stop goes from just a check of the tint on the windows all the way up to threatening to use deadly force.
Yeah.
Right. What about you, boss? You got a license on you?
Me?
Yeah.
I do, yeah.
You mind handing your partner right here?
Well, what reason would I have to identify for? You didn't pull me over, you pulled him over.
Yeah.
So you didn't pull me over, you pulled him over.
Remember you?
Yeah,
I remember you
you
too.
pulled me over before.
I used to ride my bike before I got a car.
Yeah,
Used to stop me.
why you giving me a hard time this time around, man?
That's a new registration right here.
Yeah, he had partner's ID.
What message? I didn't remove anything. What are you talking about?
It's not a stop and ID state, sir. Come on, I know my rights. I mean, come on, bro.
What?
I said I know my rights. This ain't a stop and ID state like that. Like, come on.
I have the right to identify people in a car.
Police may legally ask for your ID, but it's up to you if you
No, I
want to
don't.
give it or
I mean,
not. This is why you need to know your
I
rights.
see 3 messages here.
If you suspect me of committing a crime, you have the right to identify me. If you suspect me of committing a crime, if you can articulate a crime that I'm suspected of committing, then you can identify me. But as a passenger in the vehicle, you don't have to. Okay.
And then you want my insurance? You want my insurance?
Why, do you have some warrants or something?
No, I don't. Actually, I don't.
Huh?
I don't. No.
We're just trying to follow along.
All right, you guys sit down. I'll be right back, all right? Hey, do me a favor. Put phones down. Everybody put their hands out in front of you, okay? I don't know what's up with you guys acting sketchy, especially you. I've ran into you before.
Yeah, no, I'm just.
That's all that. Hey, since you want to play like that, I will play
Okay,
like
what's your name and badge number? Name and badge number?
Hey, do me a solid. Put the phones down. Everybody's hands out in front of you. Off the dash, okay? And you, man, stand behind the headrest, okay?
What's the purpose of this? Why do I have to get off the car, sir? Can I just get a ticket and go on my way?
Ask you a question, you get off the car from me, please.
Sure. Can I just get my ticket and go on my way?
This region versus men says I have the right to ask people to step out the vehicle.
No,
As an American citizen, do I have any rights?
that's weird that that didn't go up.
On like a main roadway.
It's a tinted window, sir.
How you doing, sir?
Can I just get my ticket and go home?
Can I talk to you for a second?
What do you, is this, okay,
Listen,
as an,
before you get yourself arrested. Just listen for
for
a second.
what? A tinted window?
I'm trying to explain to you. If you let me talk like a man, I will let you talk. You understand that? And if you guys fail to comply, force may be used against you, including up to deadly force. You understand? Use the force and warning, just so you understand that. You got it? Okay?
Am I being threatened?
It's very personal. I have the right to ask people.
Got somebody over him because he's being ridiculous, bro. For tinted windows, really? Like,
You
come on, bro.
understand that?
I'm trying to hear you.
I'm talking to you.
I'm just in shock. You,
Step out the car. Look for yourself and step out the car. And I'll talk to you over here.
We're recording this live on Facebook.
I
No,
understand you. I just,
That's fine.
because,
Step out in any car. If I have to say it again, you're going to be under arrest automatically. Right now, you're just detained. You're not under arrest. I need you to step out the car.
But in order to detain somebody,
I broke
you
the
have to
law?
have committed a crime.
Step out the car. It's for delaying a police investigation if you get arrested. Okay?
investigating what though? What's the investigation for?
Every traffic stop is an investigation, sir. Step out the car.
Tinted windows is an investigation?
Keep your hands where I can see it. Turn around, face that direction. You have any weapons on you? I'm asking you.
I don't have any weapons on me.
Chance. I'm not handcuffing
You
you.
just what I have my 10 feet, you did the same thing. I have 10 feet, I was right my body,
I don't recall you.
many years ago.
I don't recall you. Well, you know, I contacted a lot of people many years ago. I don't even based on the way you guys
So based on exercising our legal rights.
I don't know why it didn't go up.
That's great. Really? Come on, man.
So
And you're-
obvious,
you got a
so
wrench.
ego-driven. Keep watching,
You
guys.
have to like a crime that I have committed in order to detain us. Like,
Don't leave yourself right there. Yeah. You have any weapons on you?
no, sir.
Which is even scarier when there's not just one guy doing it, but 2 cops doing it.
Yeah, but the only thing about with your guys' recordings and our recordings,
That's weird.
you guys disappear when it's time to go to court.
Is it? Is this?
You're probably pretty disgusted.
Is it on top?
right now.
Well, I have my
Give
top
me a
chat.
thumbs up
Okay.
so as many people as possible can see this. Sadly, so many people believe that just because they're wearing a uniform,
weird.
that means they're the good guy. And this is where the video cut out.
Pulling us over for.
He's gonna turn it off, or that driver just a second.
In this video, the occupants all know their rights. Let's see what happens here.
Yes.
I'm a detective strike, so we'll go for the sheriff's office.
What's your name and badge number, sir? By policy, you're supposed to give us name and badge number. What's your name? What's your badge number?
Can I have your ID, please?
What crime you suspect me committing?
Okay, I have the right to identify everybody in the vehicle.
No, you don't. Unless I've committed a crime, or you suspect, or you can articulate a crime that I have committed or about to commit, sir. Oh, believe me, babe, I'm a specialist. I'm a specialist.
Oh, you are a specialist.
Mr. Kim Larson?
No, Mr.
Mr. Kim Larson? I apologize.
What's
The fuck's
your name
going on
and badge
here?
number, sir?
Is improper lane use, and your windshield's back. Yes, sir. Thanks to an 18-wheeler.
Louisiana roads too. You kin to Bobby Streisand? How are you, son? How are you? Doing well. Man, I can't complain. If I did, you wouldn't want to hear that shit.
What do you mean by improper lane use? I'm in the center lane.
Yes, when you were back before the intersection at West, you went over. And they've been telling us the whole time they was looking for us to mess up. That's what this is going. You are live on Facebook, sir. So I'm just letting y'all know. Please don't slip up because it will cost you your job. All right. Y'all see this, right? They've been telling us for 5 miles. And saying he went over a line that he didn't go over. Good? Go hang out there. Boy, I need me some money. I need me some money, boy. Me too. Yeah, y'all gonna mess around and be the one to give it to me. Can't get blood from a turnip. I sure hope not. Y'all ain't got nothing better to do. All the criminals, shit that's happening out here, y'all ain't got nothing better to do but follow people and mess with them. I said we were following. I know you were following. I watched when I called eye contact you when I passed you, buddy. I started recording from there. I'll run your data and doing all that. Nah, I ain't worried about this data. It's free. I'm gonna give you a warning and everything. I appreciate that and shit. See if I can get that fixed. It is a safe. So, what's your name and badge number, sir? Detective Robinson. Detective Robinson, what's your badge number? It's 9. Okay. You need to learn a little bit better on how to do your job.
That's how you take care of that. Please give me a comment for the algorithm thing.
Get you some sleep today? I'm Staff Sergeant Driver for the Security Force Squadron. I just came to check upon you. See, have any identification on you that I can check?
No, I'm not going to provide you with any idea. You do know to get to U.S. code to take any type of photography of military installation.
Unfortunately, you just can't report the installation entry. Can I get your name?
No, I'm not going to get my name.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. I don't think we're gonna agree here.
We're not, but we understand that. You cannot do it.
Throwback Thursday. LIA.
Back again with another installment of Throwback Thursday. Today's order takes place at the Patrick Force Base located in Brevard County, Florida. Stay tuned to the end of the video for updates. Without further ado, let's get into it. Military personnel coming out now. How are you? Nothing much. Just taking some pictures and videos of the base here.
Gotcha. I'm Staff Sergeant Driver with the 45th Security Forces Squadron. I just came to check upon you, see how it's going. That's it.
Okay.
Do you have any identification on you that I can check?
No, I'm not project any ID.
That's fine. Just let you know, cross that white line. If you have no identification to allow you access to the station, then we have to get you under trespass.
I got you. All right. So that white line right over there.
Whatever you want to do right here.
This is public property, correct? Okay, great.
Just be mindful of the road, traffic.
Sure. I'm a big boy. I'll take care of myself. I got you. Thank you. You said your name was Andrade.
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You have a great day as well. Sergeant Andrade with Security Forces has come out and spoke with us. Of course, he's going to ask for ID, but we're not going to give it here. So, overall, not a bad experience. Like I say in most of my videos, coming out here and talking to me and having a civil conversation with me, I'm not going to. This is a military installation, and they have a right to be concerned, but I have a right to stay here and film for as long as I'd like. Also have the right not to give up my personal identification. So, yeah, that white line right there in front of us is right over here is where you formally enter the U.S. Space Force base and their property. So we will not be passing this white line at all. Don't want to have, which as of right now they do not have. U.S. Space Force, Patrick Space Force Base. Security forces have no jurisdiction outside of that base. The worst thing they can do would be to call local law enforcement, which would be Brevard County sheriffs, and they do not have any jurisdiction over me, as I am not breaking any laws. Hi, how are you? Good. Investigator Erickson?
Yes, sir.
And your name, ma'am?
Investigator Eagle.
Exactly. Beagle?
Yes.
Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you. We're just wondering why you're recording a military installation.
Yeah, no.
Something we can help you with?
No, I don't need help with anything. I'm just taking some public photography of the base, that's all.
Okay, so in order to do that, you have to go through the installation actually and go through public affairs and coordinate it with them.
Yeah.
Since they're the ones that do all the photography. You can't
But
actually.
I don't want to go on the base and photograph.
No, I understand that, but any base property, you can't actually photograph the base property
Yeah,
without going through that.
but I'm not on the base.
But it's the property that you're recording.
Yeah.
Even if you're not on it, you just can't record like the procedures.
Yeah. No.
You're recording what the gate is doing.
Yeah, I'm recording the gate, everything around the gate. That's correct. Yeah.
Um,
So basically, I'm from my understanding, investigator, is that I'm just taking public photos from a public
is that your
place.
job? Do you work for a news company?
Yeah, I'm an independent journalist.
Okay.
Yeah, I have an event, and like I said, I'm just filming what I can see from public. That's all.
And I understand. And we have the cool Space Force sign and everything.
Space Force. Yeah, pretty cool.
Unfortunately, I don't make the rules.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you just can't record the installation entry control.
Yeah. Well, I understand that that's what you perceive to be the rules, but I know I'm not breaking any laws by doing this, because if I can see it from public, I can record it from public. So, you know, that might be like an Air Force rule or Space Force rule, but
It's a federal government.
a federal government
Yes.
rule?
So this is a federal installation.
Yes, I understand that.
So,
I get that.
He can't, you're allowed to stand here.
Uh-huh.
You can record that.
Yeah.
You cannot record that.
Yeah.
In order to do that, you have to get a hold of public affairs. Their number's actually online in the directory for the Space Force base.
Okay. Yeah. I just think I don't think we're gonna agree here.
We're not, but we understand that. We're just telling you to do it.
Okay.
And that we would have to, I don't want to, but we would have to call local law enforcement out here to escort you away from the installation if you don't follow the procedures in regards to recording the installation.
Yeah. No. And
That's why we're just coming to you and giving you the chance to just not.
yeah. No. And I understand exactly why you guys are here, and I can understand that. But you know, I have a right to be here. I have a right to film whatever I can see from public, and that's what I think. Regardless of whatever, I don't know what rules you're speaking of, but that's what I know. So, you know, if you need to call local law enforcement or whatever you need to do, you know, that's fine. You can do that. It's within your right to do that.
We just wanted to come to you first and talk.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Okay, and can I get your name?
No, I'm not going to get my name.
Okay, that's fine.
All right.
I don't know, maybe the wording or something, but yeah, I saw the oink oink too. I think they're just helping that car. The car is actually disabled. It's been sitting there a while. It's got a bunch of markers on it.
So how long you been an investigator? A long time? Doesn't look like it could be a long time. I mean, it's Florida, right? It's Florida.
It's actually surprising it's sunny today.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, definitely. I know. We caught a break with the hurricane, the tropical storm.
Yeah.
Caught a break.
That's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, because it went around Melbourne area. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, West Coast of Florida. No, they get earthquakes. That's even worse. I don't want the ground moving, for sure. Yeah. True. True. U.S. government plates here on this Ford Fusion. 2 investigators with the Air Force. So according to these 2 investigators here, I am breaking some sort of federal rule. What's their word? A federal rule that says that you cannot record.
Let's get into it.
Information.
You see him do his little interview with Tuapri?
I'm not exactly what rule
Tuapri stayed in character the whole time.
I'm referring to, but they were nice.
No, this is Long Island. This is a throwback Long Island audit. And they go. On Thursdays, he's been bringing up an older one.
Very interesting. Here at the Patrick Space Force Base, Brevard County, Florida. There's an unidentified male in the back. 2 males. They decided to send out the females to speak with me. Wasn't here very long before they sent out the investigators to come speak with me. You got military personnel right there talking with them. You can see. All right, guys. So the investigators,
63 degrees today,
forces just left. They informed me that if I did not move from this public area, and that it was against their rules and they were made to fill the gate of the Space Force base for any military installation, according to them. They informed me that they were going to call local law enforcement, which would be the Brevard County Sheriffs. So we're going to wait here and see if they actually call them, and if they actually show up, and see if the Brevard County Sheriffs respect our rights to film in public. So we'll see what happens. Stick around here. Hey, how are you? Good.
So I already know, like, you're doing your best, but you do know to get to US Code to take any type of photography of a military installation, entryway and or scheduled military.
That would be if it was designated by the President of the United States.
No, it's actually US Code. It's 18 US Code 795 photography and sketching defense installations.
Yeah.
It's against the US Code to take any type of photography of any installation.
Yeah, that's not true. I've taken photography of many installations. And
it says it in the US Code. I just want to listen up. But
I understand. Thanks, you too. Alright guys, so local law enforcement still has not arrived to remove me from public property in front of the U.S. Space Force base. I'm beginning to think that the investigators with the security forces I spoke to were just using that as some type of intimidation or scare tactic to get me to leave. Alright, watching this over again, it made me laugh to see how bad the female security forces officers wanted to intimidate me. They obviously failed miserably. The unidentified military officer who said it was against federal law to photograph defense installations was technically correct. As you can see here, 18 U.S. Code 795 photographing and sketching defense installations. Whenever, in the interest of national defense, the president defines certain vital military and naval installations or equipment as requiring protection against the general dissemination of information relative thereto, it shall be unlawful to make any photograph, sketch, picture, drawing, map, or geographical representation of such vital military and naval installations. So, I think it's hilarious that you couldn't even sketch, picture, draw, make a map of what you can see from public, or take photographs of what you can see from public. My 2 takeaways are, first, he left out the fact that according to this federal law, the military installation has to be specifically designated as a vital installation by the president. I have searched of these designated facilities and could not find it. My FOIA request wasn't answered. Second, as written, this federal law sounds highly unconstitutional, which is probably why I wasn't charged with it, and I couldn't find any instance where someone has been successfully prosecuted for this crime. I would love to test it out in a court of law if given the opportunity. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. As always, stay safe, God bless. I'll see you in the next one. Long Island on it. Peace.
Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley went on the Breakfast Club and it aired today, and Folks are calling this her longest conversation on race. Host Charlamagne the God and DJ Envy hit her with a variety of questions about immigration, racism, and the removal of the Confederate flag. Haley explained how growing up in a rural South Carolina town motivated her presidential run.
I grew up in a small rural town, and we took care of each other. It was neighbors taking care of neighbors. And there was just something simple about it. And there was just something that was good. You genuinely wanted to take care of people. Mm-hmm. And we've lost that. I mean, right now you see hatred, you see division, you see anger. I mean, you see these things that are trying.
Stop. Oh my God, please stop. So let me explain to y'all what happens there. This is the perfect example of the Republican Party. Long ago, we lived in simpler times. We lived in a time where everybody got along. Things were great. We weren't fighting each other. We weren't mad. We weren't upset. Nikki, your daddy couldn't get a job because he was Indian and was only hired at the HBCU. Your mama, white folks wouldn't buy her dresses. Black women did. But do y'all see how she's trying to play this? Things now, we're excited. If you ask most people, they're not fighting with their neighbors. What the hell is she talking about? But this is how they try to frame this thing. Oh, the world today is falling apart.
I like Roland Martin. He's funny.
Only we can go back to how it used to be. You mean like Jim Crow? I'm good. I can bypass Jim Crow. Hit play.
Cut people, and it's just, it was exacerbated after COVID. But it's all the more reason why we need to go back and say, wait a minute. Stop taking all this so personally. This isn't personal. This is just about getting our country back on track.
Swatting is personal. If I call somebody's house, if I say, hey, this is going down at this house, that was personal.
Well, I mean, it's personal from a political perspective. Yeah, I mean, that's where it's a blood sport to run for office these days. But yeah, I mean, it is, but it show why, and it's why I'm so determined to finish this. Yeah. Is because I know America's better than this.
But do you lose the love for it, right? You just told us some of the reasons why you want to do this, right? And then you talk about some of the sides that are against that, right? You want to do it because you want to help people. You want to be the person that, what you grew up on and what you wanted to see. But then you talk about swatting your house, which is making your life miserable, and your parents' life. Your parents could have had a heart attack, Then you talk about Donald Trump attacking you the way that he's attacking you. I mean, they dive into your personal life. They dive into an alleged affair. They dive into anything that you've ever done or allegedly have ever done into your life. And it's, when does it get to the point you be like, excuse me, part of my friends, but fuck this, I don't want to do this anymore?
Well, I mean, it's all lies. But what they don't realize is politics is the art of distraction. The more they do that, the more motivated I get. Because it's everything that's wrong with politics. It's everything that's wrong in this country that we have to clean up. So I do this, I'll take the pain, I'll take whatever it is. Girl, I can handle it.
Okay, all right, enough of that. I mean, that's just her just rambling. All right, so Charlamagne asked her about racism. Here's what she said.
Politicians, Democrat and Republican, we've heard you say America has never been a racist country. We've heard the Vice President say that before. We've heard OG Jim Clyburn say that before. We've heard Tim Scott say that before. Why can't Democrats and Republicans just be honest and tell people, hey, we can't have honest conversations about racism in this country because it's not a good electoral strategy?
No, I think it's actually German.
That's not why.
That's why.
No, I have talked about racism as it affected me and how we need to get past it. I mean,
you can't talk about it and say America's never been a racist.
I think there's a town in Germany called Fuck.
There is racism in our country. I don't think that our country was founded to be racist. I don't.
You don't create a constitution that says all men are created equal, but that did not have women's rights in it. You don't create a country where women couldn't vote. You don't create a country that was set up for white male landowners. You don't create a country where black people were slaves, white people were indentured servants. You don't create a country where you have, please go read the book Dark Bargain, where they talked about the battle over how do you include people of African descent who were slaves, and that's how they got to the 3/5 compromise, because the South wanted to include them for population reasons, and the North didn't want to include them for population reasons. It came down to control or money. Literally the creation of the country. The first slaves came here in 1619. So let's not act like 100 years went by and oh my God, that was no racism here. How many Native Americans were slaughtered because white European settlers wanted the land? What the hell do you call that, Nikki Haley? Press play.
That it was meant to be this amazing experiment to see if we could have freedom and democracy in a way that all men are created equal.
It's not democracy.
We are not there yet.
If you didn't look at all men as equal.
Stop. Nikki, you act like people just, oh my goodness, we're just gonna up and we're just going to pack up and just set sails for the United States of America. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. In fact, there's a video on social media where anti-racist educator Tim Wise sort of talked about that. Watch this.
I don't know. It's just
being honest, like when Donald Trump says Mexico's not sending their best. Okay, you think England?
Arbitrary border.
I don't know who this bill. I don't need anyone's permission to do what you do.
Monroe County Piggy.
That's not true. Well, I've answered all your questions. Why would you want to can't do that. Yeah,
an imaginary line. Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah, no.
Yeah, laws changed.
Excuse me? You don't have to put your hands on me. You're not going to. Observe and report. I don't know who is this bill operation manager. I don't need anyone's permission to do what you do.
Yeah. Just make sure you get time to get started on it. Do you have your ID on you? What's your name?
I'm not gonna get that. I need to commit a crime. If you can articulate a crime that I committed, I'll need to write. You have to give me a warning. That's how it works. Give me a warning, Yanni. That's not the way the law works. That's not the way the law works. How are you going to trespass me? They didn't trespass me. It's a public building. You can't trespass me from a public building without committing a crime, sir.
You're the rich or being sick.
So you're going to arrest me? Are you going to arrest me when I give you my ID?
So we're going to change your detention. You can keep recording. You're fine. Alright? You're still allowed to be detained. You're detained.
So, what are we going to do with 65 million simoleons? It's a lot of ones.
Gotta use it to make up for some of the pain it caused.
Sure. What specific big decisions?
Well,
I sure am glad that I'm not the senior officer in charge of this unit.
Choices like that. Don't look at me. What a shocker. The guy with no mortgage, no car payments, and no job is my responsibility.
You care less about money than anybody I've ever met. You're true. Who should be in charge of that? Handle it, big guy. Thank you.
Police say they've recovered 2 bodies from the wreckage of a helicopter that went down in the Hudson River early this morning.
For this, it's shorts. Just playing a couple shorts. I do want to hear some of the oral arguments from earlier. Let's see if it's ready yet. See if they've processed yet. Your ears.
It's a beautiful Thursday. I hope your week is coming down the hill nice and easily. You had an amazing week ahead. You're accomplishing all the things that you need to accomplish. We're waiting for the tubes to connect themselves. And it looks like we're live on Locals. We're live on YouTube. Hello to our Telegram friends. And is Rumble alive? Hopefully it is. It looks like we are warming up over there as well. It's a beautiful Thursday, my friends. We've got Supreme Court business in store. We're going to go through a couple quick foundation mood-setting articles, and we'll refresh our recollection on the petition that Trump filed some time ago, because today is a historic day. We're going to hear the oral arguments in the Supreme Court of the United States to determine whether or not Donald Trump can remain on the ballot in 2024. What a weird time that we're in. Can Donald Trump, the leading presidential candidate in the country, not just in the Republican Party, but beating Joe Biden by many polls, the Supreme Court is going to determine whether he can even be on the ballot, whether people in Colorado can even vote for him at all.
These motherfuckers,
in America, because people like Jenna Griswold have decided that this is appropriate to save American democracy. So we're going to have some fun today. We're going to see what Supreme Court says about all of it. As a reminder, this is what the docket looks like. So there has been an absolute ton of activity in this case, obviously, because it is historic. If the Supreme Court comes out and says states can decide to keep up
74 to 70
off the ballots, that's going to
passed
be a
on.
domino effect. The consequences here, I think, will be so severe, it might even be the end of the country. If I could just be so blunt about that. If states can just decide through a little rigged process that we went through in this trial, so-called, at the lower level district court in Colorado, 7 Democrat judges can just leave them off the ballot. Well, there's a really big problem here. So here's what happened. Back on January 3rd, we had Donald Trump, right in the new year, file a petition for a writ of certiorari in the Supreme Court, and a bunch of people, okay, look at this document. We haven't really had any activity yet. There's a couple filings from Trump, but look at all these amicus briefs, right? So a bunch of people submitted stuff. Records came over from the Supreme Court of Colorado, brief of these professors, Seth Barrett Tillman. You remember that Vivek filed his response, right, his amicus, a friend of the court, supporting Donald Trump. We had David Weisberg. We had another professor, this guy. Ryan Brinkley Public Interest Legal Foundation. Then Colorado Republican State, they submitted their brief. A lot of people, okay, look at all these people. Claremont Institute, Devin Watkins, Children's Rights. First, Donald Trump submitted his brief. We read through all of Trump's briefs here. Ted Cruz submitted a brief. James Madison Center for Free Speech, NAACP. Former U.S. Attorney Robert Brewer. Look at all these people. Condemn USA filed something. Larry Kidd, Kansas Republican Party. And so on. All of this, right? We're just getting started. I'm not going to read them all, obviously. These are all the briefs. There were some motions filed asking for oral arguments and so on. And some of these were not accepted. So this is what's happening today. It's going to be, a lot of people have a lot at stake, obviously. I think it's a monster question for the country. Here's what it's going to look like today. Motion for a divided argument and more time for oral arguments was granted in part. So we have a total of 80 minutes that we're going to have today for oral arguments. We'll see if they cut it off quickly or not. And his time is divided as follows. So 40 minutes for Trump, 30 minutes for Anderson, and those are the Colorado litigants, and 10 minutes for Respondent Griswold. All right, Respondent Griswold is someone else who's involved in this case. So let me just run you through briefly to refresh our recollection of what happened here. This right now is in the Supreme Court of the United States. Remember, Donald Trump is the petitioner. So we came down from a lower level court. We were in Colorado District Court, so we'll call this CD, the Colorado District Court. This was the we had, and it was, I think, 5 days. They basically incorporated a lot of the January 6th Select Committee and all the things. So there was a trial that happened here, and the judge decided that Trump was not actually removed, right? The lower level
old people can't figure them out, though.
The initial trial,
they stop at them.
She says, "Well,
unnecessarily,
yeah,
or I've seen people stop in them."
But the 14th Amendment doesn't apply to him, right? The removal clause, the 14th Amendment removal clause, does not actually apply to Trump. So she said he stays on the ballot. But then what happened is the other party actually appealed this. And so remember what happened is the Norma Anderson litigants, they weren't suing Donald Trump. But we see these two names right here, Trump versus Norma Anderson. Okay, that's fine because Donald Trump is petitioning this. But the actual litigation was actually, Donald Trump was not even a part of the original litigation at the very beginning. Anderson, the Colorado litigants, they actually sued. Guess who that was? Griswold, right? This is the same pattern that we saw, Crazy Eyes, the same pattern that we saw in 2020. Okay, third party.
Nice turning signal,
ass hat. 2020, it was the Michigan Alliance for Retired People and all that stuff. They created these organizations that then sued the secretaries of state.
Train must have just let out.
They sued in Michigan and they said COVID, not COVID, oh no, COVID. And so they sued, right? Basically, it's like a fake lawsuit. All right. Both of these people are on the same team. The Colorado Secretary of State, Janet Griswold, agrees Trump should be removed from the ballot, same way that the Norma Anderson litigants agree that they should be removed from the ballot, but they play a fake game of legalese. They play patty cake with each other. Anderson sues Griswold, and I'm going to put up a real big fight to keep Trump on the ballot. Obviously, that's not going to happen. So what happened was, of course, that happens. Trump intervenes, right? They come in. The Colorado party is intervening. They're all saying, you two come off the ballots. They basically did that. So now Griswold, she's coming back as a respondent. So it's also Trump versus Griswold. That name is not in here. So there was collusion, in my opinion, between these two parties in order to get the outcome that they wanted. And they forced the Colorado Republican Party and the Trump campaign to step in, to intervene. And this is the same pattern in 2020. And I got to tell you, it worked for them in 2020. They changed a bunch of rules around in, the COVID aftermath, and the whole election was shifting as a result of that. So they're trying this little game again in the Supreme Court. That's going to hopefully correct the record on this. Now, I think that they will. I mean, I really, in my bones, I think they would be insane if they did say, Colorado can pull him off, because there would be a domino effect across all the states, and basically the election. And I think it would be the end of really the functional electorate. I just don't think it would if they allow this to happen, and they know that. But remember, these were the questions that Donald Trump submitted. And so, they're gonna, the Supreme Court.
Oh, I love
can
watching
literally
those
take
videos.
The Supreme Court, they can do de novo reviews. They can, original jurisdiction. They've got a lot of power to do a lot. It's the Supreme Court after all. But they generally will keep the questions narrowed to what is in front of them. So in this case, question: the Supreme Court of Colorado held, background, that Trump is disqualified from holding office. And that was Judge Wallace, I believe, Sarah B. Wallace, from holding the office of the president because he, quote, engaged in insurrection. And so the Supreme Court was not Sarah B. Wallace, rather the district court was Sarah Wallace. She said he engaged in insurrection, and then the Supreme Court did that as an officer of the United States.
They were cutting it up.
The 14th Amendment applied to Trump because he swore an oath as an officer to support the Constitution. So therefore, the state Supreme Court ruled that the Colorado Secretary of State, so Democrats told another Democrat, Crazy Eyes Griswold, who we've heard yesterday, I mean, she's like hysterical about this. Trump's an insurrectionist, and she talks very weird, kind of uncanny valley. It's like, are you real? Are you an android? What's wrong with you? Should not list President Trump's name on the 2024 presidential primary or write-in votes cast for him. The state Supreme Court stayed its decision pending the United States Supreme Court review, and that's where we are today. The question: did the Colorado Supreme Court err in ordering President Trump excluded from the 2024 presidential primary ballot? And that's what we're going to be hearing all about today. And so let's see what's happening over on C-SPAN. We're going to do a refresh here and see if they're warming up the feeds, warming up the tubes on the day, because usually they have a pretty good live stream. They show the pictures of the justices and so on. So we'll wait for them to warm this puppy up. Now, here was an article over from Politico from this guy, James Romaser. And, okay, he says, here are 3 reasons why the court might rule against Trump. He talks about the reputation management theory. He says the court is battling corruption accusations. All right. So this one is going to be about, maintaining the credibility of the court. Now, this is a real thing. It's like, oh my gosh, John Roberts, I think, is the one who's most squishy, as we call John Roberts the squishiest of the judges, because he kind of just moves, he's kind of amorphous, so to speak.
Most squishy.
We got questions about that. For example, back during the Obama era, right, many people believe John Roberts just kind of buckled when they said that Obamacare was a tax. Remember that? What? It's a tax? That feels like you're finagling something. And really, I think the idea was that the Supreme Court, didn't want to undermine Obama, like literally, because he had more power than them in terms of public credibility. And so they just said, okay, we'll make it work for you. But that's not how the law's supposed to work. It's supposed to kind of have some backbone. But that's the question. Are they just going to say, well, maybe if we say Trump is on the ballot, we're going to anger a bunch of people in this country, and that's going to undermine our credibility, and so we're not going to do that. In other words, this is the court is a political body type of argument, which there's truth to that. I mean, I think that literally that's what Obamacare was about, because John Roberts doesn't think it's a tax. Right? But he could live with that, but he knows better. Here's the power consolidation theory, why they might rule Trump and keep him off the ballot. Even as the public confidence has dwindled, the court has systematically concentrated its own power. And also the theory of the political long game. He says if you think, which these are not really like legal reasons, it's just like the court wants to just keep its power. If you think 6 conservative justices are merely Republicans in robes, you might think a Trump victory is assured. But the political undercurrents are more complicated. Disqualifying Trump from the ballot would not hand the election to Joe, he says. It would simply allow other Republicans to run, perhaps a more establishment Republican with a better chance to beat Biden. I don't think so. If you really put Brett Kavanaugh on truth serum, would he rather live in a world where Nikki Haley is the president? He says, I think he would, Brett Kavanaugh. So I guess the judges are just going to vote. They're going to vote on the bench because that's how they are. Okay, these people are whacked. Brett Kavanaugh is not a lefty. I mean, you can make some. But Brett Kavanaugh is not Justice Sotomayor, right? That's a better thing. Okay, so Sotomayor might contort the law into what she wants it to be, because that's her philosophy, right? It is the active, breathing Constitution. They don't think they have a different judicial philosophy than people on the left, on the right, who just look at the law, look at the text, and try to keep some semblance of order as you go through the historical precedent. But that's not what the left does, and so it's kind of shocking to them that the right might play a different game than they do. But all right, my friends, it's a beautiful morning. We're waiting for the stream to warm up over on C-SPAN when the clock strikes, and we'll see if we can get this thing fired up over here, because it's now time, and apparently this is now live, and we're going to see if we can get this queued up. All right, so they're just warming up. We're going to leave this one on in the background, and
I just got a message.
When that fires
I don't have
up,
to go in.
a bunch of J6, you know,
They're shutting the building down. Oh, they're spraying.
I was
Okay.
going to say, you know what it is. All right, so we've got that coming up. Now, my friends, let's see who is alive and well, who is joining us. It's a beautiful, beautiful Thursday.
Midwest was in here earlier.
Court day. We're very excited that you are here and joining us. We got over on locals, we got Don't Be Hatin's here. Jonah's here. What's up, Jonah? We got some donos in the house already. Oh my goodness. Pilot Andrews in the house. Amazing. What's up? Words Mean Things is here. Amazing. So, good to see you guys, my friends. I'm glad that you're joining us. We're waiting for SCOTUS.
Well, it's okay. I got to go get a haircut anyway.
Here's what it sounds like. Someone's calling in from Connecticut. We got 24/7 Live. He says, hey, 24/7 Live says, if you were reading this, you have successfully navigated the first 39 days of 2024.
Yeah.
Congratulations, and keep up the great work. That's true. It's February 8th, man. It's SCOTUS Day. Dan P is here. He says this is historic. There's no doubt about it. This is historic. It's kind of crazy we're even having this debate right now. Why can't the people just decide? If the people of Colorado or the people of America think Trump is an insurrectionist who tried to wreck American democracy, they'll vote accordingly, won't they? Or not? Like, why do they have to take him off the ballot? Very curious. What's up, Arnold?
New plate.
Good morning.
And I've seen the blue ones. I haven't seen the green ones, though.
Saying, hey, all. Don't Be Hating says, hey, in the house. Hey, what's up, Sweet? Says, good morning. So did they make a decision today or what? Great
Michigan
question.
State colors.
No, there won't be a decision today. They'll issue a written opinion much later. When that will be is kind of anyone's guess. You know, idea is that they're going to accelerate this thing pretty quickly, because we got Super Tuesday coming up, which is on March 4th, which is less than a month away from now. So the idea would be that SCOTUS wants to, wrap this up so there's some clarity when the Super Tuesday elections come down the pike. But we'll see. Hija's here. What's up, Jonah? Very nice to see you. And here, let's see. This is what the outside of the Supreme Court looks like. Call from Arizona. Shout out. Do I know this person?
And I made it a point. I wanted to stay focused on what was going on.
Is that Lou?
I had just admitted and went through one of the best times business-wise in my life. And I was impressed by what Donald Trump was doing.
Shut up.
And I'm just, in watching this, we've in the past seen other candidates doubt what was happening with the election, challenge it, no issues. But this time, he's challenging something that looks so obvious because of all the lies and deception that was going on with the democratic circumstances of impeachment. They had no grounds. They had no actual evidence.
Hey, shout out to my brother from Arizona.
It's Mark in Green Valley. This is Andy in Lewiston, California.
Hey, shout out to Mark. Hey, Mark, way to represent. Nicely done. Way to represent Arizona. Shout out to Mark.
Yeah.
You're right.
Oh,
You're right. They did
it's
have
filthy. The inside of my car is filthy, dude.
All right, so we're waiting for the court to warm up their tubes over there. Sometimes they
Windex.
get a late start. It happens to all of us, all live streamers. We're always a little bit late sometimes. The court's like, oh gosh. We have Amy Coney Barrett's in there she's smacking the computer, turning the computer back on again. This stinking thing. Okay, so this is over from SCOTUS blog. Well, they say the Supreme Court's going to hear arguments on Thursday, what could be the biggest election case since its ruling nearly 25 years ago in Bush versus Gore. Tell me about it. they throw Trump off the ballot, that's pretty much it. At issue is whether Trump, who is once again the front runner, can be excluded from the ballot because of J6. Now, although the question comes from a case in Colorado, Maine is parlaying off that. Remember Maine, Shenabellos. There's some scenery outside the court. Look at all this attention out there, man.
Until then, live sights and sounds there from the United States Supreme Court.
Packed house. Bunch of people are there. I know Julie Kelly's outside. She posted that on X.
See, that one's maize and blue, that play, if you can see it.
In the costume right away.
Full house. There's those bicycle racks again. Remember when they secured the Capitol with those things? Remember those little hurdle things that I think 8-year-olds could hurdle over? A lot of people out. Okay.
I know it's a Chevy. It's just I was talking about the
Peas and butter just sent in the comments.
thin blue line bullshit on there too.
Is not throwing Trump off the ballot. It is saying that a state will not count votes toward a candidate. That is more insidious. Well, right. This is going to be just the beginning, you know, the very early domino effect. I think this will spiral out. It's not just going to be Trump, right? They'll throw a bunch of other people off. Peas and butter, great comment. Thanks for sending that one in. Trump is where it starts. Of course, it's much broader than that. Hey, what's up, Frank? Frank says, good morning, counselor. Nice to see you, Frank. Frank L in the house. Thanks for saying that one. Another one from Frank. Thank you very much, Frank L in the house. And Richard. What's up, Richard says, old Crazy Eyes is almost as dirty as other people's dentures, like Nancy Pelosi's. There's a lot of gross stuff going on there.
Yeah, a bunch of blue line stickers on the back too.
No doubt about that. Thank you for those.
The bootlicker. Probably fucking Piggy himself.
So they're running a little bit late. We got Pilot Andrew over on Local says, Trump 2024. Good to see you, Pilot. Thank you for that. Jesser Bob says, there are not blue states, just blue cities, so this could surely just destroy the USA. I think there's truth to that. I think there's real possibility that if this goes the wrong way, it's not good for the country. T. Lewis says, good morning, my fellow watchers. Good morning, Rob. Praying that SCOTUS does the right thing. We'll certainly see about that. You can see there is the courtyard. And should be starting soon here, as soon as the justices get their cups of coffee. Word says, good morning, all. Words mean things on Locals. Says, I'll be in and out of the stream this morning. I just learned about the National Prayer Service in Washington, D.C. right now. It's being live streamed as well. Perfect timing. If you want to watch that, it's at praydc.org. Not to compete with you, Rob, but this is important too. Love to. Indeed. So praydc.org if you want to go check that out, the National Prayer Service in DC. From Words Mean Things, plug in praydc.org if you want to check that out as well. There's a lot of stuff cooking this morning. It says Johnson is praying at this prayer meeting right now. Apparently a number of other legislatures will be sharing as well. Thank God for godly leaders, says Words Mean Things. Good to see you, Words. It's a beautiful morning. Very nice to have you here and at the prayer service. Our friends on Rumble. What's up, Red Phoenix? What's up, man? Good to see you, man. Huck Feed's in the house. Just Diaz in the house. Yeah, hopefully there's no FBI agents in there if we're going to insurrect the SCOTUS. Oh, here we go. We're here.
The Colorado Supreme Court held that President Donald J. Trump is constitutionally disqualified from serving as president under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment.
Trump's lawyer.
The Colorado Supreme Court's decision is wrong, reversed for numerous independent reasons. The first reason is that President Trump is not covered by Section 3 because the president is not an officer of the United States, as that term is used throughout the Constitution. Officer of the United States refers only to appointed officials, and it does not encompass elected individuals such as the president or members of Congress. This is clear from the Commissions Clause, the Impeachment Clause, and the Appointments Clause, each of which uses officers of the United States to refer only to appointed and not elected officials. The second reason is that Section 3 cannot be used to exclude a presidential candidate from the ballot, even if that candidate is disqualified from serving as president under Section 3, because Congress can lift that disability after the candidate is elected, but before he takes office. A state cannot exclude any candidate for federal office from the ballot on account of Section 3, and any state that does so is violating the whole residency law that requires members of Congress to inhabit the state prior to Election Day, when the Constitution requires only that members of Congress inhabit the state that they represent when elected. In both situations, a state is accelerating the deadline to meet a constitutionally imposed qualification and is thereby violating the holding of term limits. And in this situation, a ruling from this court that affirms the decision below would not only violate term limits, but take away the votes of potentially tens of millions of Americans.
They would.
I welcome the court's questions.
All right, let's go.
Mr. Mitchell, would you, you didn't much time on your argument with respect to whether or not Section 3 is self-executing. So would you address that? And doing that, your argument is that it's not self-executing, but then in that case, what would the role of the state be? Or is it entirely up to Congress to implement the disqualification in Section 3?
It is entirely up to Congress, Justice Thomas, and our argument goes beyond actually saying that Section 3 is non-self-executing. We need to say something more than that, because a non-self-executing treaty or a non-self-executing constitutional provision normally can still be enforced by a state if it chooses to enact legislation. The holding of Griffin's case goes beyond even that by saying that a state is not allowed to implement or enforce Section 3 of the 14th Amendment unless and until Congress enacts implementing legislation allowing it. So under Griffin's case, which we believe is correctly decided, the Anderson litigants disagree with us on that point, but if this court were to adhere to the holding of Griffin's case, there would not be any role for the states in enforcing Section 3 unless Congress were to enact a statute that gives them that authority.
Got to do something.
Counsel, what if somebody came into a state Secretary of State's office and said, I took the oath specified in Section 3, I participated in an insurrection, and I want to be on the ballot. Does the Secretary of State have the authority in that situation to say, no, you're disqualified?
No, the Secretary of State could not do that consistent with term limits, because even if the candidate is an admitted insurrectionist, Section 3 still allows the candidate to run for office and even win election to office, and then see whether Congress lifts that disability after the election. This happened frequently in the wake of the 14th Amendment, where Confederate insurrectionists were in Congress, and sometimes they obtained a waiver, sometimes they did not, and each house would determine for itself whether to seat that elected insurrectionist, because each house is the sole judge of the qualifications of its members. So if a state banned even an admitted insurrectionist from the ballot, it would be adding to and altering the Constitution's qualifications for office, because under Section 3, the candidate need only qualify during the time the candidate holds the office to which he's been elected. And under Your Honor's hypothetical, the Secretary of State would be demanding essentially that the candidate obtain a waiver from Congress earlier than the candidate needs to obtain that waiver.
Well, even though it's pretty unlikely, or at least would be difficult for an individual who says, you know, I am an insurrectionist and I had taken the oath, that would require 2/3 of votes in Congress, right?
Correct.
That's a pretty unlikely scenario.
It may be unlikely, but no Secretary of State is permitted to provide the likelihood of a waiver, because in doing so, they're adding a new qualification to the ability to run for Congress. And the proper analogy, Mr. Chief Justice, is to state residency laws, because the Constitution says that a member of Congress must inhabit the state that he represents when elected. And the lower courts have all held, in reliance on term limits, that a state election official cannot move that deadline any earlier by requiring the candidate for Congress to inhabit the state.
So even if somebody comes in and says, I'm a resident of the Secretary of State's office in Illinois, and says, I'm a resident of Indiana, I have been all my life, I want to run for office in Illinois, the Secretary of State can't say, no, you can't?
Well, the question would be, is that person going to inhabit the state when the election is held? So if the candidate makes clear, perhaps through a sworn declaration or through his own statements, that he has no intention of relocating to that state before, then the Secretary of State would be enforcing an extant constitutional qualification rather than enforcing a new state-imposed qualification. And that's the key under term limits. Is the state in any way altering the criteria for a federal office, either for Congress or for the presidency? And in this situation, the Colorado Supreme Court is going slightly beyond what Section 3 requires, because Section 3, on its face, bans an insurrectionist only from holding.
Counsel, can I stop you a moment?
Sotomayor.
Back up a minute. You admitted that the concept of self-executing does generally permit states to provide a cause of action for breaches of a constitutional provision.
Correct.
In fact, they do it frequently for takings clauses. There's no debate that Colorado has provided that cause of action. You want to go a step further, and that this, like the treaty clause, requires implementing legislation to permit the state to disqualify an insurrectionist.
That's correct. So
under Section 3.
That's right.
So history.
Congress has to do something to disqualify
and to my colleagues generally. Well, there's a whole lot of examples of states relying on Section 3 to disqualify insurrectionists for state offices. And you're basically telling us that you want us to go 2 steps further. You want to, maybe 3. You want us to say that self-execution doesn't mean what it generally means. You want us now to say it means that Congress must permit states or require states to stop insurrectionists from taking state office. And so this is a complete preemption in a way that's very rare, isn't it?
Well, the only thing I would just...
It's rare under the 14th Amendment.
Oh, of course it's rare. This is a one-off situation. And, Your Honor, the only thing...
Well, it is one-off. I don't disagree with you. But it's not with respect to how we've defined self-executing.
We're not asking this court to redefine the concept of non-self-execution. We were careful in our brief not to rely on that phrase. And Griffin's
right, you are, because it's not.
That's right. And Griffin's
so now the question is a very different one in my mind. I understand what you're relying on, Griffin. Let's just be very clear.
Right.
Griffin was not a presidential Supreme Court decision.
That's correct.
All right, it was a circuit court decision by a justice who, when he becomes a justice, writes in the Davies case, he assumed that Jefferson Davis would be ineligible to hold any office, particularly the presidency, and treated, and this is his words, Section 3 as executing itself, needing no legislation on the part of Congress to give it effect. So you're relying on a non-presidential case by a justice who later takes back
There
what
is
he
no
said.
real precedent.
But the key point with Griffin's case and why it's an important precedent, despite everything Your Honor said, it is not a precedent of this court. But Griffin's case provided the backdrop against which Congress legislated the Enforcement Act of 1870 when it first provided an enforcement mechanism for
Then it did away with it later.
It did away with it later, but
that has nothing to say with respect to what Section 3 means. Can we get to the issue, which is, I think, one that I go back to that I started with?
You asked him the
very
questions.
briefly, what sense does it say that states can't enforce Section 3 against their own officials? I mean, I think logically those are two issues in my mind. Can states enforce the insurrection clause against their own office holders, or can they enforce it against federal officials, or can they enforce it against the president? Those are all three different questions in my mind.
Local,
and
state,
the
federal,
answer
and
to all
press.
three of those questions turns on whether this court agrees with the holding of Griffin's case. If Griffin's case is the proper enunciation of the law, then a state cannot do any of the things Your Honor suggested unless Congress gives it authority to do so.
So a
through implementing
non-presidential decision that relies on policy doesn't look at the language, doesn't look at the history, doesn't analyze anything than the disruption that's...
Congress relied on Griffin's case when it enacted the Enforcement Act of 1870 and established...
If I may interrupt, but just to clarify, I mean, this sounds like your reply brief, where it sounds like you're not making a constitutional argument, you're really making a statutory preemption argument. And is that what you're doing here? You're not saying that the Constitution gives you this rule. It's the kind of combination of Griffin's case plus the way Congress acted after Griffin's case that gives you the rule?
That's exactly right, Justice Kagan, because we have implementing legislation. Congress took up the invitation provided by Griffin's case and established writs of quo warranto in the 1870 Enforcement Act, later repealed them. The only enforcement legislation that's currently on the books is the Insurrection Criminal Statute, Section 2383. And when Congress made all of these decisions, the initial enactment of the Enforcement Act in 1870, the repeal of the quo warranto provisions in 1948, all of those were made with Griffin's case as the backdrop. The understanding was that these congressionally established remedies would be exclusive of state court. There's not an express statement of preemption in these statutes, but there didn't need to be because Griffin's case provided the backdrop.
And if I could just understand the argument a little bit better, suppose that we took all of that away. You know, suppose there were no Griffin's case and there were no subsequent congressional enactment. What do you then think the rule would be?
So just as a matter of first principles without Griffin's case, it's a much harder argument for us to make because normally, I mean, every other provision of the 14th Amendment has been treated as self-executing. What we would argue, and that's hypothetical that Your Honor has suggested, is that there are practical considerations unique to Section 3 that counsel in favor of a rule similar to what Chief Justice Chase spelled out in Griffin's case. And it goes to, I think, the policy concerns he talks about, where this was a case, Griffin's case involved a convicted criminal who was seeking a writ of habeas corpus on the ground that the judge who tried his case was an insurrectionist disqualified under Section 3. And Chief Justice Chase realizes that if he enforces Section